auditioning wise, I know you said you did all this yourself, didn't you? You did you sent in tapes, didn't you, for the audition for this one? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. It was a self-tape actually, which I was very surprised by. I'd never really done. I had literally just got into voice work in the sense of I didn't really even have an agent yet. It was my first audition. This and another game, it was kind of my first 2 auditions for video games ever. And so this one for Baldur's Gate, it was like, but they want a video. And it's got to be from here to your knees because it's for motion capture. And I was like, motion capture? The only reference I have for motion capture is Lord of the Rings, Andy Serkis. That's my only reference. I know there's dots involved and a suit. That's it. Fine. So I was like, so I guess it's just a normal self-tape then. Yeah. But you got to show, you got to move your body like you normally would in any acting situation and in life, obviously. And yeah, I sent off. It was a 45-second audition for Lae'zel. I did audition for all the other characters, I believe. I definitely auditioned for Shadowheart and Karlach and probably Astarion. I mean, Astarion's kind of they were all sectioned into races. So they had, I think the Githyanki were called Planewalkers. They were all codenamed. The Tieflings were Devilkin. I think you had a half elf. A dark elf and blah, blah, blah. So I think I just auditioned for all of them because I had no reference. And I was just like, might as well. Let's just go for it. Yeah. And my audition for Lae'zel was about 45 seconds long. And I think I found out maybe pretty quickly actually that I'd got it. And I had no idea what it was. Yeah. I had no idea what it was. I had no idea the scale. I had no idea it was the main character. I had no idea it was a Githyanki. Yeah. And I was very lucky because I think some people went through several rounds of auditions, whereas I just booked it off this tape.
With regards to Lae'zel, obviously she's such an interesting, fascinating character. So what sort of went into the development of it once you got the role? Because I'm guessing you didn't have the voice necessarily down in the auditions, or
no. And that's a really good point. Actually, I auditioned with the voice, my own voice. Yeah, I didn't really think too much about it in the audition. I was just like, I'm going to focus on her sort of mannerisms and on the delivery. Let's put it that way. And I'm just going to use my voice. However, when we went into the sessions, we started off kind of at this level. And bearing in mind, Lae'zel is the youngest character of the companions, which is
shocking.
It is shocking, yeah, because she does come across as quite mature, I think, and very driven, and obviously she has her sort of outbursts, her sort of teenagery outbursts, I'd call them. But she's mostly, I think, quite mature character in the way she thinks. But she is actually the youngest. And as time went on, the voice naturally, very naturally, this wasn't a conscious decision by anyone. It kind of went from here, which is where we are now, to gradually sort of going lower and lower. And then we were sort of in this kind of space of Lae'zel, sort of a little bit snarly, and the voice was definitely lower and a bit more gravelly. And there came a point where I was like, guys, do you think that my Lae'zel at the beginning is very different to my Lae'zel in Acts 2 and 3? And I was a bit paranoid about that. But now, having listened back to it, I think there is a little bit of a difference in the voice, but it really works with her character development. I think she comes in, all guns blazing, all swords blazing, whatever you want to call it. She's like, we've got a tadpole, guys. I know what to do. We've got to get to the creche, de-tadpole ourselves, bish, bash, bosh, done. Obviously, as the story goes on, we realize that side quests and things happen, and Lae'zel changes very much as a person. She finds out things which we shall not spoil for those who don't know yet, but she finds out things about certain people, certain gods, shall we say, goddesses, that are not necessarily, that are a shock, let's put it that way. And she changes very much as a character, and I think this voice modulation really works with that. But it happened very organically, which is kind of the best way. Yeah. But yeah, the original Lae'zel that I sort of auditioned with was not quite like that, had that voice.